And this is it, week 9 of the 2024 legislative session. I am State Senator Bobby Powell Jr., and we finished up. And I'll tell you how it went in just a minute. Monday began with a redo of HB 1, legislation that is likely unconstitutional. It passed earlier this session, which would ban anyone under the age of 16 from having social media accounts on any social media platform. Now, the new bill was HB 3, House Bill 3. Now, it was tweaked a bit just to allow for some parental input and to allow for kids under the age of 14 not to be allowed to have social media accounts. But it is still an overreach of the government. Therefore, of course, I voted against this legislation because we have to allow parents to be parents. Government should not be involved in teaching parents how to be parents. But this bill passed on the floor on Monday. Now, I'm happy to report that my legislation, SB 712, which will exempt personal information about our city and county attorneys, many of whom have increasingly been targeted by threats to themselves and their families, passed the full Senate and is headed to the governor for his signature. Now, I believe we have to protect these hard-working public servants at all costs. And this bill takes an important step to protect their personal information and to keep them and their families safe. Legislation which flies in the face of government's role in offering a hand up instead of a handout, Senate Bill 742, was also up on the Senate floor on Monday. Now, this measure targets public works projects. It targets local governments' abilities to weigh in on wages, giving an unfair advantage to larger companies over smaller local ones in the public works bidding process. Now, I was, of course, a no vote on this piece of legislation, but the bill still passed along party lines. All Democrats voting no, all Republicans voting yes. That also goes to the governor for his signature, hopefully a veto. Senate Bill 1436, legislation which would raise the cap on interest rates for consumer loans as high as 36%, was another bill that I could not afford to vote for. That was on the Senate floor this week as well. Now, these loans are typically high interest bearing loans that people who have nowhere else to turn will turn to in order to get help. I believe that it exploits the people and it puts them in a bad position. On Tuesday, it was another marathon day of bills coming to the Senate floor for a final vote. Senate Bill 796 was among the bills that I could not support, unfortunately, because this legislation also bans people who are under the age of 21 from working in adult entertainment establishments. Also on Tuesday, Senate Bill 1222 was back for a final vote in the Senate, and my final vote was a no. Of course, it's a no for me. If it gets to the governor, this legislation would mean that someone stealing a $40 bag of dog kibble, for example, from someone's front porch could end up facing a third-degree felony, which would be a controversial measure that puts more pressure on our prison system and puts an additional strain on the system and individuals who will have a harder time getting that off of their record. Puts more people in jail, of course, for the dumb decisions that they make, but it's also a crackdown on what the legislature has considered porch pirates. The legislature's $117.4 billion budget was laid on the desks of the senators and the state representatives on Tuesday, which gave us enough time to have the 72-hour cooling off period before Friday, which would be the end of session, to make sure that we vote. Remember, the legislature's only bill that we have to pass is the budget, and today, or on Friday, we voted on that budget, and it goes to the governor for his signature. And by June 30th, the governor will have to determine what projects he'll keep, what he'll veto in order to sign the budget into law. That is a wrap for the 2024-2025 legislative session. Of course, I am State Senator Bobby Powell Jr., reminding you that a life of service is a life that counts. Thank you for watching this week's edition of the Powell Press, and make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and get involved, and follow up and keep up with us on the Senate or in the Senate through our various channels. Of course, you see us on YouTube, but we're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Michelle DeMarco, Diane Andre, and Malcolm Summons, I am State Senator Bobby Powell Jr., and we look forward to seeing you on another future edition of the Powell Press.